As a recognized leader in embedded analytics, Yellowfin has been designed and built to enable you to embed amazing analytical experiences into your software. From a highly integrated dashboard module and self-service reporting, to enabling best practice integration that blurs the lines between analytics and your application and workflows. Modernize your reporting environment with Yellowfin to ensure your customers engage with your data, discover insights faster through automation, and innovate with contextualized analytics.
Thanks for tuning in to the Product-Led Festival. We really hope you're enjoying the summit so far because we've got even more insights heading your way. All sessions are designed to be interactive and give you the chance to engage with our panellists, so come ready to get involved with your questions and comments. For all things PLG, don't forget to check on the PLA memberships at productledalliance.com. Sit back and enjoy the next session.
Can you remember getting your first computer? The excitement selecting the right one from a catalogue or a shop or on the internet, and the anticipation waiting for it to arrive, and how excited you were the day it came to the house, opening up the boxes, plugging it all together, and finally playing your first game. Because I know not many of us were really starting to code straight away. Let me tell you a story about such an event. There was a young boy, let's call him Archie. From the day he could walk, Archie was always searching out electronics. He just loved them. Whether it was a phone or a tablet or something more sophisticated, he was on a mission, always on a mission to find something to play with, no matter where he was, and that included other people's houses. Now, in his family, he had two brothers, and one of those brothers was his big brother. And he had all the gadgets, and he tended to hog the bulk of the controller time. Archie simply couldn't get enough time. So he dreams of a day when he can get his own machine, or grows bigger than his brother when he gets to control everything. So let's fast forward a few years when Archie's a teenager. He's a big lad, but he's not outgrowing his big brother. His passion for gaming hasn't abated, so he sets himself a challenge. He wants his very own gaming computer. He's fed up not getting enough game time on his big brother's PS4. But it's not any old off-the-shelf package he wants. He wants to build his own bespoke setup. So he researches the market, what's available, goes onto the gaming forums, and of course talks constantly with his mates. Every conversation at home is about megahertz of the processor, or the bit rate on the monitor, or the memory capacity. Anyway, he finally gets his list of brands and models, and with that his cost schedule. So now it's time to think about how he's going to pay for all of this. So Archie saves every penny he gets, whether it's money from his birthday, money at Christmas. Visits to his grandparents are always popular for an odd pound or two. And he even offers to do jobs around the house, of course, for money. However, no matter how hard he saves, he never seems to get enough money fast enough. So he has to review his ideal package of the parts. He starts to look at alternatives. Can reduce the cost of the monitor. Maybe he gets a cheaper mouse, because he's pretty handy on Destiny, even with very basic controllers. He then also searches the internet to find if there are any deals on the equipment that he's after. And he gets to a place where he thinks he can get on target with his budget. And then comes the day where he can place his order. And he can't wait for the delivery. Every day he comes home from school. He's rushing in to see whether there's any packages and whether they've arrived. And of course, they haven't. So a bit of a tease. And then one day, he comes back home and all the parcels are there waiting for him. The delight on his face. He's so ecstatic he can barely control himself. He grabs the boxes and up to his room. His dad shouts after him, Do you need a hand? The reply, an emphatic, no, I've got this. But it's this next part of this story that I think will resonate with everyone. Archie gets so excited, he rips open the boxes. There's plastic and bits of polystyrene balls all over the floor and the bed. And he starts to put the various components together. Soon enough, time's going by and it's time for tea, and he gets shouted to come down and join everyone else. And as he walks into the kitchen, Dad asks him, "How's it all going?" The reply, "It's not working. The light's flashing, but nothing else is starting up." He's a little bit, upset. Dad says, "Look, I'll come and give you a hand after tea." So anyway, up they head to the bedroom after tea, and Dad opens the door to find the mess, the cardboard box, plastic, polystyrene all over the place. He turns to the desk and he sees the carcass of the gaming PC, surrounded by various bits and pieces and lots of leads hanging out of the side of it. So he says to Archie, "Look, where's the instruction manual?" Which Archie said he couldn't find. Dad says, "Well, how did you know where everything goes?" The reply, "Well, it's obvious, really, isn't it?" After a bit of searching around, the instructions found. Dad says, "Right, where's the anti-static lamps?" Archie's reply, "What would they be for?" Actually, no, I don't think we need those. These are up-to-date PCs, and there is no problem with that. You can just slot stuff in and you can handle it. That sort of nods. Anyway, after a read through, reconnecting the leads, everything is good to boot up. They hit the button, the lights flash, the fan starts, the light turns constant. It's looking really good. Archie turns the monitor on, blank screen. They do a recheck, a restart, the same results. Now, Dad's fried after a day at work, and they've been at this for a couple of hours. So he says, "Look, let's have a sleep on it and we'll look at it tomorrow." Archie's obviously still excited. He says, "Look, don't worry, I'll continue doing some reading and see if there's a YouTube video maybe that I can get some ideas on." So anyway, a little while later, Archie comes downstairs and asks Dad for pliers. Dad goes, "Why?" And he goes, "Well, I've bent a connector. I just need to straighten it. It'll take me 2 seconds. That's it. Be careful and be very, very gentle." But 5 minutes later, Archie reappears in the living room with a component in one hand and something else in another, with a very sad face, and says, "It just broke off." The component he had in his right hand happened to be the motherboard, which of course is the most expensive part of the PC. So, no computer, no gaming. And some of you will feel probably a bit sad for poor old Archie. All his hard work, his patience, his diligence, and yet his dreams have been shattered. Well, maybe not. Archie's got a fancy pants monitor, and as it turns out, he's currently using that as a bargaining tool to get more game time on his big brother's device. But he still doesn't have a working PC. So to me, this scenario really epitomizes so many facets of product world. You look at Archie the investor. He's working hard for his funds. He's ready to invest in a really good cause. But he really needs a significant return on that investment. Archie the customer, well, he had a dream to build his very own PC to his very specific detail. He's going to enjoy freedom to play the games that he wants, when he wants. No big brother antics would ever affect him again. He was the master of his destiny. And then Archie the builder. He did the research, he knew the design, he decided the parts that he wanted to put into it, the performance requirements of the processor, the monitor, the mouse, and then he built it. It was his, done with his hard graft. So what things can we as product professionals take away from that? Probably the biggest one is that you need to, know your desired outcomes. Be really clear on those and be prepared to secure those outcomes. Many times they do not materialize, at least straight away. And of course, there's a level of fidelity and quality, and that's essential. So, not to rush any stage. If there are instructions, we should follow them. Ask for the right help, and get the right skills at the right time. I guess the moral of that story is nearly don't take a sledgehammer to crack a nut. Using the right tools is really important, and really never ever use pliers when you're connecting a PC, especially if you're a 13-year-old kid. And of course, sometimes you miss your deadlines. Things go wrong. More often than not, in fact. Sometimes things are outside of your control. Your stakeholders who are looking for that return, that outcome, they get pissed off. And they're pretty good at telling us that. And of course, delays cost money. And just on that outcome point, outcomes really matter. The journey shouldn't be rushed, especially at the final hurdle, just before go live. Check and double check before going live. Always have a plan B so you can realize some value. And all of this means things can take a little bit longer, but it's worth it. It makes it all worthwhile. Providing delight and freedom for the customer, satisfaction and pride for the builders, and that all-important return on investment for the investor. So in this section, I really want to talk about my experience. I want to make it a little bit more personal with reference to some of my history. We talked about getting the right skilled people to do specific jobs. And I remember at which I was responsible for launching their first reviews app. We had a great design. We had a responsive app. We had checked the back-end platforms that they were communicating properly. We checked the different versions of iOS. We decided just to go at iOS first. We went live and everything looked to be working a treat. And that was until our editorial team started to send through product updates. And it turned out that the product or the app bombed. We had forgotten maybe a golden rule. Not testing key requirements where multiple product categories were being updated. And that ended up causing too much memory on the device to be used, which effectively tripped the app. We resolved it, but all that energy and excitement and euphoria of putting the app live actually completely dissolved once we hit that problem. Probably another learning is prepared for the unexpected. At the times we launched a universal app which was optimized for smartphone or tablet. We were replacing a very much loved product, and we knew from our research that it took time to get readers to move across and really enjoy the new experience. Many more features, same content, but actually you can engage with it in a different way. Now, our approach was to remove the classic app, so the original one, from the App Store, make our mobile app the universal app, and then deliver a phased rollout, initially by platform, so iOS, Android, and then by region. So this meant that only new subscribers could get our new app, so we were slowly introducing it, and existing subscribers could continue to enjoy the classic version. And we thought we had every angle covered. Now, of course, some of our readers had auto download, and they got a hell of a surprise. And we couldn't quite understand as it was a separate app, so automatic downloads would have overwritten Classic, and we were actually having two separate apps. But there's always a positive in some of this stuff. So the positive was that what we then found out was about 3,000 subscribers never had the sort of the classic app experience. They were using the stretched mobile app, and it turns out that they loved the new experience because it was being adapted for their tablet device. But there was a negative side because some of our existing subscribers decided to buy new devices, and whenever they went onto the App Store to download the Times, they only got the new app, and they were furious. And they told us so directly, but also and also publicly on the App Store. Now there was a way to fix that. They could restore their purchases, but it really gave us a good alert to tell us that there's going to be a significant challenge bringing our traditional readers over. Another learning was always have a plan B, and maybe I'll stay on that same case of the Times Universal app. We had a significant fallout from our loyal readers who inadvertently we forced them to upgrade. But we used this group to give us some core feedback. We produced a newspaper feature inside of the app, which was basically a PDF reader option, and suggested that they use that. And it turns out that many of them rather liked it. And now they get the best of both worlds. It also gave us the insight that we needed to make it more visible, to kind of hit it in the hamburger menu. And as I touched on earlier, it turns out that we actually also had a plan C, because for those staunch traditional readers, that minority, we could give them the option to restore their classic app. Now, this challenge is one that continues today because we now have two apps that we're supporting. Our classic app is coming to the end of its life, and we need to move those subscribers onto the new universal app. So that's a work in progress that the team are continuing to work on. I think another thing that's really insightful is to hold your hands up when things go wrong. We heard about Archie coming in and saying, I've broken it. Here's the motherboard. And I think one of the things I'd like to share with you, going back a while now to my days at The Economist, where I used to run strategy and operations for The Economist online, and we had back then the business model was an ad-funded model. We had a challenge where various regions were selling global deals, and sometimes at a much lower rate than a specific region could get for their inventory. Particularly seen in the Americas, where our brethren over there would often throw in what they call value add to their deals. We always found out about that late in the day, and would end up having to return funds, which was really upsetting for many people, many internal, but also our media planner buyers, who then had to go back to their clients to say, hey, we couldn't move the money. Now, I had put in a system that allowed us to forecast inventory, and based on campaigns that have been sold to date, so we can see early, sort of 4 weeks out, what the implications were looking like. And initially, it used to shock our sales team because I used to post it each week, and it showed them the associated risk with some of their campaigns. And I remember in the first year, we would probably have been running this thing for about 3 or 4 months. The first year, just before Thanksgiving, many of our folks had been taking holidays, and our schedule hadn't been updated properly. I happened to find out that sort of 2 weeks before the end of the month, we had a significant revenue exposure. I think it was around £250,000. So at that stage in the month, you were pretty close to an accurate picture. And I remember finding out, I was in New York at the time. I remember going to a pub, getting very drunk, and then getting a flight home the next morning and thinking, oh my goodness, I'm probably going to get fired for this. But the next day, I had to go and I had to tell my boss. I had all the regional sales teams. And I really sort of had a target on my back for quite some time. But it was clear, right? We got it out in the open, and we then built a plan around our campaigns. We paused all of the sort of value add elements of campaigns. We added new inventory, which was a favour from the editorial teams. We even told some agencies, hey, we can't deliver your campaign. And while they were pissed off with us, it allowed them to go to another publisher. And actually, they came back to us and thanked us for it in the end. And we reduced that 250k exposure down to 25k, which we actually then were allowed to serve out in January. So while we lost some money because of the campaigns we stopped, we actually gained the trust of our advertisers. So I'm going to wrap up with a few things. So I guess every product professional is optimistic by virtue. We wouldn't get out of bed otherwise. We have to manage the expectations of various stakeholders, including our own. Many times there are setbacks along the way, and that means hard messages to deliver. We have to review requirements. We have to reprioritize needs. We need to make sure that we deliver the best outcome we can, even when things are really tough. And I think the thing that sets us apart is that we find ways around problems, because there are always solutions to extract some value. And so I really do believe there is no experience like experience. And that's a phrase that my dad used to tell me. And just before I go, and probably my final point, and speaking of fathers and sons, some of you will have guessed Archie. Well, he's my 13-year-old son. He's still saving for a new motherboard. His new way of making money is an agreement to keep his room tidy for 7 consecutive days. And 3 months in, he's still working on that. I've been an S. McDonald. Thank you for your time.